So there's no beating around the bush with this, and I think everyone's kind of in agreement with this, that Season 4 was Supergirl's best season by far, right? Like, seriously, everything was better this season. The villains weren't just the best Supergirl's ever had, they were some of the best the Arrowverse has ever had. And the heroes were better written, there was no there was pointless drama, but there was so much less pointless drama. This was a different show this season, and if Supergirl can continue this kind of momentum into seasons 5 and even 6, then I think Supergirl might graduate from a guilty pleasure show into one of comic book TV's biggest turnarounds. Unsurprisingly, this season was very politics-based. Supergirl always injects politics into its seasons, and even Arrow, and to a much lesser degree, Legends of Tomorrow, have done that in their recent seasons. Normally this is a remedy for disaster, and it almost always is for Supergirl, but somehow the show made it work in its favour this season. I'll be honest, the first 2 episodes of the season were really poor in my opinion, and not up to the standard of what the show ended up giving us in the end. They really didn't give me much hope for the direction of the season, but in episode 3 we were probably introduced to a character played by Sam Witwer called Benjamin Lockwood, also known as Agent Liberty. This episode showed us how life has been for Ben over the last 3 years, how him and his family have endured 3 years worth of alien invasions and destruction in National City and the surrounding areas. How his family is almost torn apart due to the Kryptonian and Martian and Daxamite onslaughts over the years, and how from the ground level, even the heroic Supergirl and Martian Manhunter can look like conquerors and more than dangerous than heroes. It was a really unique take and instantly set Lockwood apart from the other villains the show has given us. It made us care about him and his story, and sure, at times he was a real xenophobic, racist piece of shit, but the show doesn't try to paint him as a good man. It does show us why he is the way he is and why we should care about him and his story. This is something that the show failed terribly at during seasons 1 and 2. It tried it with Rain and Samantha in season 3, but it ruined it in the second half. Season 4 of Supergirl is consistent with its villains throughout the whole season, and that is an amazing accomplishment. Things then got even more interesting with the introduction of David Ajala's Manchester Black, a guy who's pretty happy with his life. He wants to do right by the people he loves, and while he has some questionable ways of doing the right things, he is somebody who could stand amidst Cara and Jean as the heroes of National City. But then the woman he loves, who isn't of Earth, is murdered by Lockwood and his children of Liberty, and the possible hero goes down the wrong path. This isn't a heroic origin story anymore, this is the story of another villain in the making. And again, the show doesn't try and paint Manchester as the hero. The writers understand that he isn't a good guy. He kills people. Maybe he has good intentions, but he went off the rails somewhere along the way. And we as the viewers understand why he is there, why he got there. We understand why he became this. He isn't just another random villain who got powers and decided to kill people with them. He has real reasons for going down this dark path. I do however think that how he was written out this season was pretty weak, but it's the only down point I have with his story. All of this also created a great story for J'onn J'onzz, leading to him becoming a detective like he was in the comics. And his character just all around had a pretty interesting story, which is something we haven't had with him since the Megan Morse Smith-Martian stuff in season 2. While all of this is happening, and during the season, we are getting little hints of a mysterious version of Cara in Kaznia. We don't know her story, and every couple of episodes we get a scene at the end to remind us that she's still out there. I thought most of the season gave Red Daughter a huge disservice. Red Daughter is based on the Red Sun Superman arc, which is an Elseworld story about how Superman crashes in, I think it was Ukraine, it was the Soviet Union instead of America, and he's essentially raised as the Soviet Union's version of Superman. Red Daughter was a very loose adaptation of that, but I think it was a huge disservice to the character. Melissa Benoist plays a different version of Cara perfectly, and she was a definite highlight of this character's story, but overall she was relatively wasted. She didn't come to the forefront until the last few episodes, and while her final scenes were much better than what we were overall given, I do think that maybe the season could have worked better had she and the whole Kaznia plot been excluded from the season, maybe saved for something else, maybe just not used at all, because every time she was like there would be a random scene with her, it would feel so out of place compared to everything else, because most of the episodes that she would be involved in during the first half of the season, they'd give her one scene and it would have nothing to do with the rest of the episode. This said, she was still a lot better than the villains we received in seasons 1 and 2. The other villain was that of Jon Cryer's Lex Luthor, the biggest and baddest Superman villain and one of the most iconic comic book villains of all time. We've been hearing about him on Supergirl since season 1, and I honestly never expected to see him on this show. But then we got Superman himself. Then we got Metallo, and even a brief cameo from General Zod in the season 2 final. Yet for some reason I still thought we'd never see the main Luthor on this show, at least not until a Superman show starring Tyler Hoechlin himself was confirmed. But here we are. All I'll say is that John was a delight as the character. I think he should have gotten more time in the Luthor shoes, and I also think that he wasn't near the level that Rosenbaum's Luthor from Smallville was. That said, Cryer's interpretation was still great, and he really helped to round out the season and bring it all together. I hope that the Monitor tease does imply he'll be back, because it'll be a missed opportunity if he really is dead. Besides all this, I want to mention as well how Alex and Cara's sisterly relationship and bond is one of the best duos and relationships in the entirety of the Arrowverse, and this season also took that to the next level. This all happened with the DEO arc, having Alex forced to lose her memories of Cara in order to preserve the secret of Supergirl. Kyler Lee and Melissa shared a couple scenes involving this arc that I really think should be in contenders for the best acted scenes of this entire show. Those scenes where Alex and Cara had their goodbye before Alex lost her memories, and then again at the end of the season when Alex got them back again, the emotions, the acting, everything was so great and on point for those scenes, and it really does prove how Alex and Cara are the heart of this show, and they always have been. There's not much else I can talk about, but the Supergirl cast and crew really brought their A-game this season. They helped break the CW 4th season curse, and I am hoping that they really can keep this up in the next season. If you dropped Supergirl in a prior season, I seriously think you should consider picking it back up. I'm going to give this season an 8.8 for a couple of reasons. One, while I think it was great, there were still quite a few boring filler episodes around the middle of the season. And I think Red Daughter should have been a lot better, but otherwise I have very few complaints. So have you watched Supergirl Season 4? Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Let me know what you think. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing, and thank you for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day.